Initiative Coalition. Alaska is now the third state in the United States to legalize recreational marijuana.
Of midnight on New Year's, California will become the 8th state to legalize recreational marijuana.
It's been 5 years since Colorado became the first state to legalize recreational marijuana.
You are 21 and older, you can now legally buy marijuana in the state of Illinois.
On Monday, Maine officially became the 8th U.S. state to legalize recreational use of marijuana.
Massachusetts is now the first state on the East Coast to allow recreational marijuana sales.
Michigan is now the first Midwestern state to legally allow recreational marijuana.
A total of 11 states have made marijuana legal, including Colorado, Maine, Illinois, and many more. But Indiana has made it clear that they will not be making it legal anytime soon.
Indiana may have legal fireworks, lower gas prices, and taxes, but the Hoosier state can't claim pot. With recreational use becoming legal in neighboring Illinois and Michigan, the Lake County Sheriff wants to remind people passing through that any form of marijuana remains illegal in the state of Indiana.
Regardless of what's going on around the other states, individuals going into those other states or passing through Indiana, if they're stopped here in this state, they could go to jail.
Because of this, I asked some Maryville staff, do they believe marijuana should be legalized in Indiana?
Yes, I believe marijuana should be legalized in the state of Indiana. I see a lot more pros than I do cons. Now, I would invoke an age restriction, obviously, kind of even a little bit more than alcohol, because studies show that your brain does not fully develop until you are at least 25 years old. Marijuana plays a crucial role in the development of your short-term memory, which is somewhere up here. And since your brain's not developed until you're 25 years old, it could affect a young kid's memory, which eventually could affect them throughout life and kind of that bad stuff. If you look at the revenue from Illinois, tax revenue, I heard on the radio the other day, I think the first month brought in like $40 million of tax revenue. And if Indiana does that, hey, maybe educators could get a bonus or a nice little raise here or there. I think some of the roads could definitely use some of that money. I think the tax money would certainly help out. But yeah, that's.
I do and I don't. If you legalize marijuana, everybody has to smell the stuff and it stinks. When they talk about skunk weed, this is what it is. Smell like worse than a skunk. Secondly, I only think it should be legalized for medicinal purposes. For people who have cancer, who need the help to deal with the pain, because that was the purpose for medical marijuana.
Yes and no. The question that you asked is, should it be legalized? I think that there are some medicinal purposes for marijuana and CBD oil and things like that. I think it helps as far as with to medicate. I know there's been all kinds of studies with people that had like epilepsy and seizures and things like that. So I think that part of it is yes, meaning I think that medically, I think it helps people. I think it helps people with, I think it's been proven too with that CBD, that also with like people with arthritis and people that are dealing with like a lot of pain, it's better for them than other medications that cause a lot of side effects. For recreational purposes, I think I'm on the fence. It also depends on the legal age. I think that there's also studies that have showed that people that smoke marijuana at a young age, studies that have been shown that it retards part of their brain, part of a person's brain, so that it's almost like a maturity thing where the second guessing part of the brain, which typically doesn't develop until their people's late teens, early 20s. So I think that if it is legalized for recreational purposes, I think that it would probably have to be at like 21, like alcohol. But overall, I don't think, and then you talk about all kinds of other legal things too, with people who have been arrested and and had records of marijuana, would those things be expunged? I mean, there's all kinds of things like that. Now, technically, it was illegal, so they did commit a crime. But again, you run into all kinds of things like that. Like, what do? Do you start releasing people in prison who have been, been caught? Do you expunge your record? So, I mean, I think it's more complicated than yes or no. Now, if you ask me the question again and ask me, do I believe that it should be legalized for medical reasons, and I would say definitely yes.
Well, I have reasons for and against legalization of marijuana. I'm really on the fence about it right now. The reason I think that we should legalize marijuana in Indiana is because it's already been legalized in Illinois, and Illinois is making a lot of money on the sale of marijuana. Also, it takes away gangs and things like that, and the selling of pot, which I did work in a school where gangs were very prevalent. I worked in Hammond, and that drug wars kind of really makes a big deal. It also checks the quality of the marijuana that people are getting, and I know that marijuana is something that people use, and sometimes doctors can or can't prescribe for medical conditions. On the other hand, I am anti-drug, and so I don't know that that it's necessarily good for people. However, I know as a person that people are going to do what they're going to do, and so sometimes it's better to do the lesser two evils and make sure that that we are making sure that it is safe for people and it's safe for the people around. So even people that aren't buying drugs, but the people that are, maybe around the areas where possibly there are gang members and stuff like that, to take away that ability for them to sell drugs.
I haven't made up my mind completely. I've looked at other states where they have legalized it and I've tried to figure out what the impact has been. It looks like in some cases there have been positives. One of the things that has bothered me about the criminalization of marijuana is that it impacts people of different races in different ways. So in the States, Black people have been punished much more harshly for marijuana crimes than other ethnic groups. And so I'd like to see that change. Personally, in terms of just actual marijuana use, I don't get it, and I think there are risks in terms of driving and like being under the influence. However, interestingly, some reports have come out of Colorado that have shown that that fatalities in car crashes affected by marijuana have gone down since they have legalized it. And I think that I'd rather wait to see how it plays out and then make an informed decision about that.
Most of the Maryville staff was on the fence about this question. They believed there were both pros and cons to legalizing marijuana. Indiana's governor says it is not federally legal, so he will not be making it legal in Indiana anytime soon. It is all in his hands now.